Hi everyone. We're going to talk today about the Porter's Five Forces for Maker's Mart, the fictitious business that I have right now. However, it is a business that I would like to get started. So, what are the five forces? Industry rivalry, the threat of new entry, and the threat of substitutes, power of buyers, and the power of suppliers. So, just to kind of break down the different factors, threat of new entry, I left the ones on here that I felt like applied to Maker's Mart. Um, the amount of capital required, retaliation by existing companies' brand reputation, product differentiation, access to suppliers and distributors, economies of scale, and government regulation. For the threat of substitutes, I left number of substitutes, performance of substitutes, and cost of changing. For power of suppliers, I have the number of suppliers, suppliers' size, ability to find substitute products, product scarcity, and the cost of switching to alternative products. And for power of buyers, I have number of buyers, size of each order, buyer's cost of switching suppliers, there are many substitutes, and price sensitivity. Then for industry rivalry, I have number of competitors, cost of leaving an industry, industry growth rate and size, product differentiation, competitor size, customer loyalty, and the level of advertising expense. Here I just put, how influential they were to the business. For the threat of new entry, said that there's a pretty high risk for the threat of new entry. Threat of substitutes, there's a high risk. Industry rivalry, high risk. Power of buyers, low risk. And power of suppliers, I said, very low risk. So for threat of new entry, the amount of capital required doesn't take a whole lot of capital to get started, especially if you're starting online. And not really a whole lot more to open a brick and mortar location, especially since there are big rooms that you can lease where you can get started from, in strip malls or maybe even one of the malls themselves. Wherever it is you can find a location you can lease. You don't have to own all your buildings at the very beginning. Retaliation by existing companies. The existing companies, who have capital and have relationships with distributors can lower their prices to run you out of business, then just raise their prices back to normal once you're out. If they see you as a threat, then they can certainly do that. You can think about airline industries, big for that. Brand reputation. The brand reputation doesn't matter as much whenever it comes to pricing and not selling products you manufacture yourself. These things, if you don't have a brand of product that you're putting out inside your stores, you don't have to worry so much about brand reputation, but I do believe it's a good idea. At the very beginning, I'm not going to worry myself with that. Just going to sell other people's things at first. Product differentiation. Anyone can sell the same products, but from a different brand. So, any store out there, let's talk about 3D printers. There's many different 3D printer manufacturers out there on the market, and each one can be just as good as another one. It doesn't matter what brand you sell, especially in the 3D printer market, because there aren't that many well-known brands in that segment yet. But if you're trying to sell crayons for the people who like to color with crayons, the difference between Crayola and something Prismacolor, the brands they're the same, but they're just a little bit different. Or maybe that's more so with colored pencils than crayons. But one may be known for being better than the other, but they both do the exact same thing. So being able to sell a different brand doesn't necessarily put you above someone else whenever it comes to what you can sell and what you can't. Access to suppliers and distributors. Suppliers are going to be willing to sell their products to any new company in order to increase their own sales. So anyone who goes out there and wants to start selling, the suppliers are going to sell to the distributors. The distributors are going to sell to whoever wants to buy from them, because everybody's trying to get their own piece of the pie. I'm sure there are some places out there that do some exclusives. I know in the collectibles world, you can buy not everything, but certain things exclusively at one location. We can talk about, say, Funko Pops, for example, which are something that I plan on keeping in the store. There's only certain characters that you can buy from Funko Pop at certain locations like GameStop or Walgreens or Walmart or something like that. But for the most part, anybody can get access to the same products. So for economies of scale, there's a limit to how much a supplier can sell their goods for. So a newcomer can place the same, the MOQ is the minimum order quantity, for the lowest price as well. Each distributor has a minimum amount that they can make, and the very, very minimum is making their money back for what they paid for it. So anyone can get that same low price, as long as you're buying enough. In government regulation, everyone's under the same regulations, which are basically labor laws, local government laws concerning land, construction, and taxes. So with the threat of substitutes, here's many different manufacturers for the same types of products. We talked about that in the last slide. We'll dive right back into the 3D printer market. TiVo makes an i3, which is a type of design for a 3D printer, but Prusa does the exact same thing, and there's many other people out there making the exact same design just underneath of their brand name. So many different products out there or many different brands for the exact same product. The performance of those substitutes. So some do work better than others because they're made with higher quality parts, or maybe there's some sort of scientific method to the product itself and how it works. Maybe some sort of patented design that no one else can use. Sometimes substitutes can be better. Sometimes substitutes are worse. You just got to kind of hope that, for the most part, they're all the same. But you got to hope that you're getting the one that people want to buy. And then the cost of changing. Many brands are similarly priced, but some are priced lower than others. Whenever they're of the same quality, if you can find those, that's really good. But for the consumer, but for the business, it may not be so great whenever you're selling something for $5 more, but someone else can go buy the exact same thing for $5 less. And if they're shopping based on price over convenience, they may leave Maker's Mart and go to the other place, where they spend $5 less and get what it is that they want. Power of the buyers. There's always going to be a good number of buyers in the market, so I don't think I'm going to have to worry about how many people are going to come into the store. This store can cater to people from the ages of 4 or 5 all the way up to 80 or 90. Just depends on who's doing what kind of project. And then, the ones that we really want to target are the people who make money on their own and are coming in and spending it. Size of each order. Even when purchasing a larger or more expensive item, there will be tools and add-ons that will benefit the customer and increase the average order size. So, say for example, I love using this example of the 3D printer. If you buy the 3D printer, one of the things that you're going to need to buy with it is filament. So if you are setting your filament up with your 3D printers, then whenever the buyers come in, they're going to increase the order size rather than having to drive around from place to place trying to find different filaments for different price points. Just makes more sense to pick it up while it's right there in front of your face. And the buyer's cost of switching suppliers. It doesn't cost much for a customer to shop at a different location. That's the one drawback. All they have to do is drive to that particular location. However, I feel like with Maker's Mart and being able to offer everything in one place, they're not going to drive but to the one location. And there's many substitutes, so buyers can easily purchase a new brand or a similar item. If there's something that they're looking for at another store, then whenever they come into my store, if they can't find exactly what it is they're looking for, chances are they can find something that will do the exact same job they were trying to use that other item for. They may have just been trying to buy a brand, but they're in the store, they're already there, so they'll pick up whatever I have in the store. Price sensitivity. Buyers are sensitive to price, but most items will not be terribly expensive inside the store. You just want to be aware of what competitors are pricing for and price your products accordingly. Industry rivalry. There's a small number of business competitors and really none in the exact same space that I'm trying to go into. Just competitors in spaces from each of the niches that I'm pulling from. The competitor size. Business competitors have many locations. So it's going to be difficult to only have one location and draw in people from there. I'm going to have to grow the business before I can stop worrying about people being able to find a Hobby Lobby or Home Depot on every corner. Cost of leaving an industry. It's expensive to leave due to inventory and having to break leases and sell locations. You might end up having to take a lot of losses that cost a lot of money. H.H. Gregg is going through something right now where they're marking down all their inventory, up to 70 or 80%, and they're taking big cuts on that inventory. And industry growth rate and size. An industry will continue to grow as higher populations demand more of the same product. For product differentiation, there's not much product differentiation against what Maker's Mart would sell, but a lot of differentiation in the industry served. Customer loyalty. Customers don't seem to be loyal to any one company. They can go pick up wood at Home Depot or Lowe's, and it doesn't really matter to them what store they go to pick it up. It would work the same with Maker's Mart. They could just come in there and pick up wood as well. And the level of advertising expense. Advertising expenses may be large to be able to compete. So I'm going to need to up the game and make sure that I'm getting Maker's Mart out there, especially at the beginning, in order to be able to compete. Once we've got our name out there and we're starting to grow organically, the advertising budget can go down, but we do want to make sure that we're keeping up with our competitors and running weekly specials. So advertising is something that won't be going away anytime soon. Thank you very much.